Welcome back, F11 members, to part 2 of the Fundamentals of Post-Production Video Tutorials for issue 66, July 2017. So in part 1 we worked through the processing of an image of Loch Torridon, and I've got another image from the same trip, same area, on the screen in front of me, a before and after. Unusually, I was shooting with the light in the mid-afternoon on that particular day, but I just loved the way that there was this patches of light coming through on the landscape. These wonderful trees, these Caledonian trees, and the mountains of Torridon beyond, with really quite an angry sky. It was quite a dramatic lighting situation. And I'm generally speaking trying to explore the possibilities of lighting, not just in that wonderful golden hour around dawn and dusk, but just thinking about what else can be done other times of the day. And for many years I've worked on the basis that you have to shoot in that late or early light. So there you go. I think the pictures worked, and if we look at the before and after, how it came out of the camera on the left and on the right, you can see that there's not a huge difference, but obviously the one after I've processed it has much more impact. So let's go back to where I started then with the image, and I'm going to go just reset here now, and then apply the preset develop settings that I do on every import, which is just a touch of vibrance and sharpening. And now let's look at the picture and decide what it needs. Well, first things first, I think it needs a bit of contrast. It's a bit flat and uninspiring. Also, I think I want to bring up the detail in this area of the image. There's a bit of bright sunshine coming through on the foreground. And I want to make sure that sky has the kind of mood and impact that it deserves. So let's get to work. And the first thing, the key element of the image is, of course, this tree here. So what do I do first? Well, as usual, I'm going to look at my black and my white points, and I can see my histogram. I have a perfectly exposed image there. Perfect histogram, really, a nice spread of tones there. So I'm actually going to go down to my black slider and just adjust my black point, which is normally the first thing I do. Not much leeway for adjustment there, to about -15 without clipping any blacks. And then the same with the whites here. Hold down the Alt, move white slider to the right until I start to clip my whites, and as you can see, some start to go there in the sky. So that's started, and that's given the image more contrast to start with. What I'm going to do is I just want to boost the brightness in this area of the image where the tree is, and I want to darken down this area of the image here, the foreground. So I'm going to use my adjustment brush, as I did in part 1 of these tutorials. Click on there, and now I'm going to select a really big brush. You can see the size of the brush I'm selecting there. You can do that with the square brackets key. Come down here, check my settings, feather, maximum 100 pixels. Click on this box down here where it says Show Selected Mask Overlay, and now I'm going to paint in the red area. The red is just letting me know the area I'm selecting. Okay? Nothing's been done to that area yet. This is just showing me the area I'm selecting. So I just brush that in there like that. Got a nice soft edge to it. But even with that soft edge, you can see it's picking up on the mountain in the background. So I'm going to go for a smaller brush, and I'm going to come down here and click on Erase. And now I'm going to paint back, take that area that's affecting the mountain in the background and just paint away that mask overlay there, because I really don't want to be brightening that part of the mountains. So I'm just refining the area that I'm working with, making sure none of that red is affecting the mountains there in the background. That's okay, that's good. Click off the Show Selected Mask Overlay now, and now I make my adjustments. So what I want to do, well, I want to brighten it a touch. Just a touch, and I want to add a little bit of contrast. Again, just a touch. Boost the shadows maybe a little bit. Again, just a teaspoonful. Pinch. If I come down here and toggle down here, can you see this little thing here? I can toggle between my adjustments on and off to see what I've done there. It's just boosted that area a touch. Come up to my exposure here, click on the number, and now if I go up and down on my keys here, I can adjust in increments of 10. I think that's too far, so I'm just going to, again, fine-tune this adjustment down to 22 there. Again, toggle on and off to see the effect of what I've done there. Okay, that's worked well, and what's critical is I'm not seeing any halo effect around the edge of the my adjustment. So using the adjustment brush with that nice feather has worked well there. So I'm going to click on Done now, come up to my adjustment brush here, and what I want to do now is just darken down this foreground area, which is a bit bright and overpowering. So again, select a fairly large brush, click on Show Selected Mask Overlay, and then paint in the area I want to make my adjustments to. Nice soft edge, so we're not going to see any hard lines here. Okay, now I click back off my Show Selected Mask Overlay, and now I come along and I'm just going to darken down that area of the image and dial in some contrast there. I've come too far on my exposure, so I'm going to just click on that and come up on my bracket keys there. That's about it. -48. Gives me the density I need there. Okay, click on Done now. Let's just look now at the sky. Now I used a Grad filter on this picture, on this capture, to make sure I retain that drama in the sky. I want to just use Lightroom's own Grad filter here to just add some mood to that sky, darken it down essentially. But I don't want to darken down the mountains. I find that using Grad filters in front of the camera and the Grad filter in Lightroom as well, works really well. The two are made to go together. One is not a substitute for the other. But I want to avoid that horrid, ugly Grad effect on the tops of the mountains. So again, if I click on Show Selected Mask Overlay here now, and if I come over here to Brush, can you see there, top of the Grad tool tab, it says Brush, click on there, and now adjust my brush size, come down here to Erase, and I want to erase away the mask overlay here so that I'm not affecting the top of the mountains. Make sure this auto mask box is clicked, because that's going to pick up that hard edge of the mountains and automatically apply the mask. Apply the adjustments so that the mask sees that hard edge. Now that's done a good job there of erasing away the mask overlay, so whatever adjustments I make are not going to affect the tops of the mountains there. Click that box off now, and now I come to my adjustments that I want to make on the sky. I'm going to darken it down. Let's just fine tune. Come back to edit to do that. I was still on brush there. Right, darken it down. I'm just going to move the grad effect there so it's a sort of nice soft gradation effect. I'm going to add contrast to the sky as well. Probably come too far on that. Come back a touch. Around about to, well, I don't know, 70. Bit more contrast, I think, in that sky. I can adjust my whites and my blacks too here as well. So I'm going to come with, because the whites start to look a bit muddy if I'm not careful. And it'll show me where I'm clipping those whites there when that red comes through, starts coming through. So I'll come back until I'm not clipping any. That means now that the brightest tones in the sky, just in this area I've selected, are a pure white without losing any particular shadows there. I can do the same with the blacks. Come left on the blacks, just a touch. Easy to go over the top here. And that's really given that sky some oomph. It was that kind of sky, I can tell you. 2 seconds or 2 minutes after shooting this picture, I was in torrential downpour. But really moody, and I quite like this picture. I'm pleased with it. I think it's a bit different in terms of the lighting that I normally use. Okay, so let's look at where we're at with this image. I can fine tune my adjustment brushes, so if I click on that and I click on that area again, I can fine tune that area. I'm just going to show selected mask overlay. Okay, I just want to paint in this area here, so I'll make sure those trees there are adjusted as well, just fine tuning that. Click that off, and that's had the effect of just brightening those trees there in the sort of middle distance. Click on done and consider where I'm at with this image. I think I'll just add the merest pinch of vibrance to the image there, and job done. So let's go back to where we started, the before and after, and I can think, hopefully you'll see some fairly subtle adjustments, but the big made quite an effect on the impact of the image, particularly in the sky, but also in that foreground there. So that's it for this month. Thanks for your attention, and hopefully we'll get your suggestions and images to the members gallery, and enjoy the new F11 photography magazine. We'd love to hear your feedback on what you think of it. See you next month.